Hey, what's going on? This is another episode of the Big Red Wrap Up Podcast on YouTube for March 10th, 2026 on a Tuesday. Um, recently, uh, recently, the Daily Hoosier did a story on Scott Dolson. Um, recently, I guess you say he pretty much sent a message to the to the fan base of Indiana. Yeah, they say he's usually typically he is careful with words, but he sent a strong message to the fan base of Indiana. What in the world do you got to say? Never mind. Let me get into the story. The story speaks better than commentary. Yeah, the story speaks better than commentary. Okay, it's brought to you by the Daily Hoosier, with the publisher being Mike Schumann. Published this on March 10th, 2026. So this story is still hot. Still hot. Okay, it's no secret that the transfer portal and player compensation have dramatically changed college sports over the last 5 years. But it isn't like those dynamics burst onto the scene. Everyone adapted and we all moved on. These successes anonymous with have tsunamis have caused a reverberation across the landscape, leading to the massive new issues to contend with on seemingly never-ending basis. The latest college football transfer portal cycle provides a recent example. Portal opened for football on January 2nd. Players could enter until January 16th. But what actually happens tells a very different story. Players around the country have visited, scheduled on January 2nd, and days that followed, commitments started happening immediately thereafter. Indiana has just one example, had eight transfer portal commits by January 5th, and its entire new class is placed by in place by January 14th. My goodness. So in pretty much 9 days, I guess. So they got their new class in just like that. And there was nothing unique about Indiana here. There was nothing unique about Indiana. There was the same story across the nation. So what this tells you unequivocally is that vast majority of work is to add players via the transfer portal happens during the season, long before the portal ever opens. On Mondays, in a Monday story by ESPN, well worth your time, Max Olson describes the current situation in college football after conducting a deep dive into the topic. For all parties, tampering has become imperative. Imperative. Olson said, teams need to find who will be available. Players need players need assurances. They have somewhere to go. Agents play the role of matchmaker through December, if not sooner. Tampering is not just something new. Tampering is not just something new, something a few on toward schools are doing it anymore. It is just a new way under the current structure, and everyone is doing it. So, turning our attention to college basketball, try to imagine the scenario new IU basketball coach Darren DeVries stepped into when he was hired on March 18th of last year. Just a few days after his West Virginia team learned it was left out of the NCAA tournament. College basketball transfer portal opened on March 24th, and you've learned anywhere thus far, you should know the date was nothing more than a mere formality. Conversations had been going on behind the scenes for months. The Breeze was walking into a transfer portal cycle. It was largely already over. Moreover, the Breeze had just one assistant to help salvage whatever opportunities remained. No players transferring uh, with uh, with him from West Virginia, except for his son, and no players returning from Indiana. He had to move his family to Bloomington, deal with the media, figure out all the little nuances of his new workplace, go land top players, the top player in the portal. Heck, where's the bathroom here? Shoot. If you think this is hyperbolic retelling of what happened last March, then you should listen carefully to the words of IUAD Scott Dolson used last night on his radio with Don Fisher. The transition in basketball was probably the craziest time for the Breeze last March to ever take over a program the way the portal was. So I really commend Darren that we were able to put the roster together at least to get us through this season. Dolson told Fisher. If you listen to Dolson give interviews, you know he handles the questions with precision of a politician. You better believe it. He's not going to say anything that he doesn't want to say. So his remarks suggesting the Reeds put together a roster to get through the season is loaded, and it lines up perfectly with the state of college athletics online above. Of course, none of this is suggested fans should put aside their high expectations for Indiana basketball. This is a program in a premier conference with more than enough resources to compete with the top of the sport. For all its recent missteps, Indiana is still an attractive basketball destination with a large fan base, great TV money, exposure, good facilities. And it's worth remembering multi-billionaire alumnus Mark Cuban recently said he gave his largest ever contribution to IU athletics, and his contributions aren't tethered to a specific sport. Uh, so anybody gets the money. Of course, Dawson knows all of this as well. One of the things I think is important for fans to know is that nobody has higher expectations for the program than myself or Darian. Darren. Dawson said we want those expectations. As I talk to fans, we all want the same things. What Darren has done is in a short time period is really put the infrastructure together so that we can get back to sustained success. It's like most recently adding the executive director, former Pacer VP Ryan Carr, that was a big addition for us. With the full year to prepare, a full staff on point to lead Indiana into the all season. Wilson said it's reasonable to expect much more out of the Breeze Hooters going forward. I think we're really going to hit our stride and get into a rhythm now that we have a year under our belt, he said. So basically, it's the usual politician laced story right here. I still say he had enough time to get things going, to get a tour of get used to the place, and to get his and get a team together. But basically, this he can cover up all he wants. But basically, this was here's the Indiana team was put together with tape to go get to the season. Uh, that's all I still. He can cover it up all he wants. Basically, this year's Indiana team was put together with tape. He got the shooters on this team, but he never did finish it. Never did finish it. Got the best player. His son pretty much faded into the background though, but he pretty much got the best player. So, so I let you know right there, if you got the shooters, why come you couldn't finish the team? But like I said, I was staying by this point to the end. He had enough time to. You really don't need that many assistants. You really don't. The most coach, in my opinion, that's my opinion. He'll pretty much only have four assistants on the bench. Four assistants. You don't need a huge team. But like I said, once again, this guy had enough time to finish his team. He Dawson is pretty much pretty much just taking up for his guy. Bottom line. And like I said, let's see. Let me see if I get that. What's that date? There we go. March 18th. Okay. So turning our attention to the college basketball, try to imagine a scenario. New IU basketball coach Darren DeVries stepped into when he was hard. On March 18th, he was hard of last year. Just a few days after his West Virginia team learned they was left out of the tournament. So IU scoops him up from West Virginia after they was left out of the tournament. Then we move down to the other paragraph. College basketball transfer portal opened on March 24th. If you have learned anything thus far, you should know that the date was nothing more than a mere formality. Conversations had been going on behind the scenes for months, and DeVries was walking into a transfer portal cycle that was largely already over. He was walking into a transfer a cycle that was already over. Well, you tell me from the 18th to the 24th, he couldn't do nothing. 18th to the 24th. Moreover, the Reeds had one assistant to help salvage whatever opportunity remained. No players transferring. No, man. How can you? I still don't get it. How in the world do you only have one assistant at your job in West Virginia? You only have one assistant to help salvage whatever opportunities remain. No players transferring from West Virginia except for his son. No players are returning from Indiana. Of course, he had to move his family to Bloomington to deal with the media, figure out little nuances of his new place, go land the top players in the portal. Heck, where's the bathroom there? So you tell me when he was hard, he must have been moving his family from West Virginia to Indiana. If you think this happened about retelling what happened in March, then you should listen carefully to. The transition in basketball is probably the craziest time for the March. They ever take over program the way the portal was. So I really commend them, commend Darren that we were able to put together a roster together at least to get to the season. So basically, that's what it was. If this is the case, like I said, he put this scheme together with tape. But I don't see how he didn't have enough time to put this team from March 18th to the beginning of the season. Man, come on now. Come on now. From March 18th to the beginning of the season. You have the guys you gather up, pretty much didn't play, especially the foreign guy, Asamovic. He didn't play. He had the other guys, Harris. He didn't play. I'm gonna leave this up to y'all. Leave it up to my audience. Yeah, leave it up to my audience. Yeah, Bill. Do you really think that he had enough time? I'm pretty much. I'm gonna leave this up to my audience. Like I said, do you really think he had enough time to pretty much get a team together, a decent team with a big guy before the season started? That's pretty much the question. Do you really think he had enough time? Coach Darren DeVries had enough time to really get a team together before the season started. Personally, I still say, yes, but that says me. Yeah, because it's true. So his remarks suggesting Darren DeVries put this to get through the season is loaded. No, it ain't. It's not loaded because that's what if you saying Dawson, if you are saying that he didn't have enough time, that he had to put together his coaching staff, and when he got to his team, he had to put the team together. Uh, it's truth. It's truth. But bottom line, you been but you better make it a 1 year thing. he better make it a 1 year thing and live up to what he said. The front court must become a priority in Indiana. Or you will not survive in the Big Ten. Or he will not survive in the Big Ten. Yeah, the front court will not must become a priority. But like I said, I'm gonna leave this question up to y'all. I'm gonna leave this question up to y'all. Did Darren DeVries have enough time to put together at the beginning of the season on March 18th to the beginning of the season? Did he have enough time to put together a decent team that compete this season? But that will do it for this episode of the Big Red Wrap Up. Y'all have a good one. But like I said, that would do it. That's all I got. I can't add no more on to this. I'll take it away from it. This is another episode of Big Red Wrap Up for Okay, for March 10th, 2026. Y'all have a good one on the Tuesday. By the way, y'all have a good one. I'm gone.